Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Success Life Live. My name is Eric Reid. I am your coach and your host and your friend and just your thinking partner for today. So I hope you will have a fantastic day. Jump in and join us. If this is your first time joining us for Success Life Live, again, my name is Eric Reid, and what we do is we gather here every weekday morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, to sort of get the mindset right, to get the thinking on straight, to get our heads going in the right direction. Because what we know is when the philosophy is correct, the physical takes over. We're able to move more quickly into the things that we want in our life, our business, our family, our relationships, and our finances. So that's what Success Life is all about, is building a better life, building a life with success and significance. So thank you for joining me this morning. We're going to start to talk about relationships this weekend and what it takes to build the right relationships and how to manage difficult people and how to have the right relationship with self and all kinds of relationship kind of things. So I hope you're ready for it. Take a moment, say good morning to somebody else in the room. I saw a couple of people jump in, so do me a favor, scroll by really quick. I see Jeffrey's in the room, Tanya's in the room. I think I saw Denise. I know I saw Al, a couple other people jumped in. So take a moment, say hello, and welcome to Success Life Live. We're going to get our session started here in just a minute. But I want to, there's Melanie, teacher, parent extraordinaire. Wanted to take a minute and let you know what's going to be going on this week. So we have Fun Friend Friday, on Friday, of course. Good morning, Chuck. This week, the Success Life Lives are going to kind of talk around relationships as leaders, as team members, as spouses, as self. The podcast on Friday is really going to be about creating the ultimate relationship and the 5 disciplines of love. So if you haven't found the podcast out there on iTunes, do so. It's Success Life Live with Eric Reid. And then the YouTube channel is, again, Eric G Reid. And on that, I'm going to be recording a more business-specific teaching, and that's the 5 keys to successful social media, which goes off last week's what is social media, how to do a podcast, how to do a webcast, how to do a webinar, how to use social media to grow your business, and that podcast, webcast format. So again, and then every day, Monday through Thursday, there is the blog that accompanies the teaching you find here on Success Life Live. So it is your complete mindset university. It is your complete package of information for your business, for your personal life, and your personal development. So thank you for joining me. So I see Julia's in the house, Paula's in the house. See a couple other people jump in, take a moment, say good morning to each other. Give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me a 1, 2, 3, whatever suits you so I can make sure I see you when you jump in the room. Otherwise, I'm going to see you during the replay because I go back and replay these because what's in my notes doesn't always come out of what's in here. And so I got to make sure I capture both pieces. That's what I do. That's the way I do it. So I've got my notes over here, so you'll see me from time to time checking in on myself. And so I said, what makes a good relationship? And when I looked at all the relationships I have, whether it's being a father, whether it's being a spouse, whether being a team leader or a business partner or a thinking partner or just a general friend, I said, you know what? All of these relationships either add value or in some cases take away value from my life. So what are the relationships that I look at that I'm like, man, I'm glad that one's there. I'm glad that one's solid and tight. And this one adds so much value to me and brings so much into my life that I want to recreate and manufacture and grow that relationship. And so what is it that relationship has in it that if I could manufacture that over and over again across all of my business and personal and spouse and the different roles I play that connect me to different people, what would those relationships all have? And so I kind of came up with these 5 fundamental cornerstone pieces, rocks, blocks, whatever you want to call them. It's not complete. It's just 5 really strong pieces that need to be involved. And the first one is trust. Now, Trust is a funny thing because we always say, oh, I trust him because he's been around for 20 years. Or, oh, I trust him because, and I trust him because of this, and I trust him because of that. Or you have to understand that our trust goes way back to the day that he did this or that for me. That's loyalty. Trust is when you know the person and their nature and their core values and their beliefs and their character, that you look and go, you know what? I have not tested them yet in the fire. I have not seen them against this kind of situation. I have not watched them handle this in our relationship, in our business, as my partner or whatever. But I know the person that they are, they can be there. They can step into it. They will live the test and live the test well. So therefore, I trust them. Not because of what they do, but because of who they are. And it's a two-way street. Some people say, oh, I know Eric. He's this kind of person, so I can trust him with that. And I say, you're basing the trust based on past experiences, past knowledge, past events. That doesn't guarantee that I'm going to show up the same way tomorrow. Just because I was able to handle babysitting the kids for 4 hours with nobody dying does not mean that's going to be the same way it is tomorrow. That's not the way trust in relationships are. Trust in relationships is based on the fact that I see you for who you are, and those qualities, those characteristics, those defining principles of you are the type of principles, defining characteristics, value that will make somebody do something in a particular way. They guarantee the outcome that I seek, and so therefore I trust you. So trust is big. Respect. Woo! Ooh, we know that one. I respect the people that are in my inner circle. I don't necessarily agree with them. I don't necessarily see eye to eye with them. I don't have the same value system. But because they are authentic and they stand by what they say and they do what they say and they are who they are unashamedly, I respect them for who they are. I say, look, you know what? I respect it. I may not like it. I may not agree with it. I may not want to play the game you're playing, but I respect it because you are true to self. And I will always respect somebody that's true to self. Now, I may not elevate them or honor them, but in a good relationship on my team, I respect people because, you know what? It's like, you know what? I hired you because of your diversity, your different thinkingness, your creativity. Now, sometimes I don't like the way you go, the things you do, the things you say, the way you get to it. But what I know is you believe in who you are. It's such a core value. I have to respect that. And so when you're working together, that idea of respect, that's not positional. That's not, oh, I respect him because he's my boss, or he earns more money, or he's achieved the things I want to achieve. That respect is based on the fact that I see that you know you, and that knowing you is who I've hired you to be, partnered with you to be, fallen in love with you to be, whatever it is. You know, it's funny. So often I hear people say, oh, you know, my spouse, if only they would behave this way. I'm like, you knew that when you met them. You saw that coming, but you kept denying that reality, thinking you could fix it. You didn't respect them before you started the relationship. So why do you think now suddenly that's being amplified, magnified, and beginning to gnaw at you in the middle of the night? Well, duh, it was there all along, but you didn't respect them. And so respect is a big part of it. Mindfulness is number 3 on my list. Mindfulness means taking responsibility for your words and actions. Good morning to me. Good morning, Gail. I see a whole bunch of people jumping in. Take a moment, say hello to each other, give each other a thumbs up, give a weather report, do what you want to do. I don't know. But we're going over building good relationships. So number 1 was trust. Number 2 was respect. Number 3 was mindfulness. And when I talk about business partnerships or business relationships, primarily, and even in personal relationships and peer-to-peer relationship, that mindfulness of knowing that they know who they are, but also knowing what their actions are, and they're mindful of their actions and the responsibility and consequences. And so for me to build a healthy relationship with somebody, I intentionally will say, I'm sorry I dropped the ball on that. I'm sorry I was late. I'm mindful of my behavior and the impact that it had on you. And I don't know necessarily if I can make a correction, but I wanted to be mindful of it. And when people are in relationships and partners with me in business, and they come to me and go, look, dude, I know we had this worked out and this is what we were going to do. This is what we said was going to happen, et cetera, and it went left instead of right. And I see that and I don't know quite how to correct it, but I just wanted to be mindful of it and let you know that I'm acknowledging it and that I'm sorry I disrespected your time, or maybe, whatever. I'm like, we're golden, we're fine. Like, look, you were mindful, because when you're mindful, you have to step out of yourself. You have to see the people around you. One of the hard lessons in parenting is being able to teach our children how to be mindful. And I remember back when I was a kid, there used to be this Saturday morning thing, and it would sort of pop up in the middle, and it was like a cartoony thing, and it was like, I forgot the character's name. I'm going to call her Sally. When Sally has a balloon, her bright red balloon, and she sees her little brother, and they go through all these stories where she pops the balloon, and her brother screams, and her mom drops a glass of water, and her dad slips on the floor, and and like this series of events that happen. And they're sort of showing that one action has consequences, but it was sort of that beginning of lesson of being mindful that what you do has an impact outside of yourself. And it may be 3 or 4 or 5 levels away from you, but you need to be mindful. And in good relationships, we're mindful of the people around you. Oh yeah, I want to stay at the gym an extra 10 minutes. Well, what's that going to do at home on the morning schedule? Does that mean somebody's going to have to pick up the slack, do something that I normally do, manage something a little bit longer? Is that respectful? There we go. I blew 2 tenets of a great relationship. So I got to say, you know what? I'm not being honoring that relationship. When you become mindful, you step out of yourself and into others. And that's what relationships are all about. So one, Greg, who's just getting off the bus in Rome to see the Pope, I guess, is trust, respect, and mindfulness. Number 3 is diversity. Or number 4, there we go, 4, diversity. And that's not just in gender or in race or in culture or, religion or preference. That's diversity of ideas. I mean, who wants to be in a relationship with yourself only? Like, I love the creative process. I love when we're able to sit down at a table in a team and hear somebody like, well, my experience tells me this, or my perspective says this, or, where I come, I'm like, shh, bring it, share it, because I can't live 1,000 lives simultaneously. And by honoring and welcoming diversity into my relationships, I get to experience a lot more life, a lot more experiences, a lot more awareness. And so when we build teams, when we build companies, when we build businesses, we have to start looking for that diversity. Somehow we've gotten into this cultural idea here in the U.S. that everybody has to be just like us. They have to have the same religion, the same skin tone, the same income, the same car, the same Yeti cup. Everything's got to look the same. Like, we have become so stuck on this idea, whatever the current trend of popularity of thought, of speech, of language, of whatever, that's being featured on Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram, we got to get it. We got to be just like everybody else. Everybody got to be like everybody else. Nobody wants to stick out. We are now all just fingers in a mitten. I love the relationships that I have that are so completely different than mine, that come from different cultures, different languages, different experiences, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different histories. Because I have walked this earth for a period of time, and I have seen my things, but I haven't seen everything. And so having people come to the table with different ideas and honoring and welcoming and encouraging that diversity. So if you're a team leader, or if you run a company, or if you run a business, and you've got 4 or 5 people, do you walk in with that my way or the highway kind of attitude? Like, do you say to your team, I need everybody to start thinking out of the box as long as they're still within the bigger box that belongs to me? It's like, you're afraid, you're okay to get out of your box, don't get out of my box. You're not welcoming diversity. Have you ever walked in and sat in the middle of the table instead of the front of the table? and said, so what are we doing? What's the plan? What do we need to do? Do you guys see this as a problem? Because I'm seeing it, but I'm not sure if it's really a problem, an issue, or we just need to look at our product and our systems and our tools differently. So welcome diversity. And that leads kind of to number 5, open communication. We communicate all day long. We are communicating with our language, with our actions, and with our words. And if we don't make it open, when we start to guard it, and we've all had this in those business relationships, personal relationships as well, where you say, so how's it going? And they're like, yeah, fine. That, I want to tell you something, but you're probably not going to listen because you always shut people down, so I'm just going with the easy exit, fine. How are you feeling today? Fine. So do you think there's something that we could do differently here on the team, in the company, with the business? No, I think we're doing a great job. That little pause, that breath, that hiccup always tells me that we don't have communication. We're not being open because there was something you were thinking, but some barrier was created between you and me, that stopped it. And you don't have open communication. And when you don't have open communication, you don't have trust. You don't have respect. You don't have that ability for the team to feel like, you know what? They care about what I say. Because in the past, they've demonstrated that through their mindfulness of realizing that I'm the employee that comes in on time every week or every day of every week for the last 3 years. And the last 2 or 3 days I've been late. And they were mindful of it. And instead of being critical, they said, hey, I've noticed something's going on in your life. I just want to check in. Is everything okay? Is there anything you need? Your actions are important to me. And because of that, I'm going to be mindful of you and I'm going to respect you and I'm going to open up the dialogues of communication. Because so often we spend so much of our time, and I think it's even become magnified and amplified and twisted by this thing called social media, this little camera, this little Snapchat, this little Twitter thing, where we think everything that we have to say has to be of value to get at least 5 likes or 4 shares or 3 whatevers, happy hearts and smiling faces. We become so programmed to make sure that our words fit the culture that we're in, that we sometimes manufacture them in a way that's disingenuous to who we really are, what we're thinking, and what we're believing. When you're on a team, when you're in a relationship, when you're building a company and people are afraid to say, look, boss, I know you got this vision, I know you got this plan, I know you got this idea, I know the direction you're heading, but here's what I'm observing, diversity again, from my background, from my history, from my personal language. And I'm not sure that's the message you want to convey, the product you want to create, the label, the image that you want to put into the marketplace. Do you have a minute for us to talk about this, see this, twist it around? Yeah, let's do that. Why? Because I welcome diversity. Why? Because I want to make sure my actions and the impact that they're having aren't just one level deep, but echo out as far as they can possibly live. I work with a lot of people, and it's funny more and more on this idea of branding and marketing and messaging and what they're saying and what they want to create in the space. How is that done in a way that is mindful of other people, has significance, and has an impact? And I always love when they'll tell me their idea, and I'm like, oh, do you mind if I make a suggestion? Can I tell you what I'm hearing, et cetera, et cetera? And if they say yes, I'm like, good. You honor open communication. We're going to have a good relationship. And I'll tell them, they're like, wow, I never heard it that way. I never thought of it that way. I never dialed into it that way. And if they say, wow, I respect you for that. Thank you, I always end with, you can go your own direction, but I thought it was important that we have this moment of mindfulness and open communication so that maybe you can see the larger impact that you can have. See? So 5 cornerstones of relationships. Good morning, Miss Melanie, who's always in my thoughts with her artwork. Appreciate you. See a bunch of other people jumped in. Say a quick hello, and I will go over the 5, and then I'll give you a summary. And don't forget that this is written up in a blog format over at ericgreid.com. So number 1, building healthy relationships. And this is, I'm using the word business and teams and companies, But, it's funny, when my sister who had our kids before, she used to call it Team Beckman. We're going this way. Team Beckman this way. Team Beckman. And I was like, team? And she's like, I got to build a team here. I can't parent one-on-one. I can't lead and expect. We are a team. And when they recognized that everybody on the team was part of a team, it made things a whole lot better. So when they were like little ducklings, like, below the knee ducklings, they started hearing that word, Team Beckman, we're going this way, team this, team that, because she wanted to build a family that worked together as a team. So don't think of team as just a whole bunch of adults with like-sized shoulder height. So number one, we got to have trust. And remember, trust doesn't happen based on what they did in the past, but who they are and how you know they will show up in the future. I have trust in people, not because in the past they did this or they said that or they followed through, but because I know their core values, their beliefs, their purpose, their passion, their mission will not let them deviate from a particular set of behaviors. And so I can trust them with my thoughts. I can trust them with the actions. I can trust them with the keys to my office or the keys to my car, or leave my bank book sitting on the office desk and not panic that they're going to come in and read it and then, sabotage the company. And number two is respect. That respect. I honor who you are. Not for what you give to me, not what I can get from you, not because you give me something first, but because you believe in who you are and you believe in it so strongly that I'll respect it. And then three is that mindfulness. People that are in a relationship have to understand that who they are and what they do has impact on people, not just one layer deep, but that 7, 8, 9 layers deep. And the more mindful they are, the stronger the relationship is. Number 4 was welcome diversity, and that's not just culture and language and gender, but in thoughts and ideas and desires and purpose and passion. I love people that are different than me. The more different, the more charged up I get. And I think that's why I love traveling and going to places and being really outside my comfort zone when it comes to food and language and just the whole physical experience, because I get to see so many elements of diversity. That's why I love social media too, because I connect with people from around the world, like people in Bangladesh and Australia and Italy and Europe. I get to hear the world from so many different places. And that only shows me the richness and the opportunities and the possibilities. And then number 5 was creating and developing open communications. We've all heard that idea that we'll become the 5 people that we connect with, the 5 people that are closest to us. And when we develop these relationships in our lives that we want to have to move us forward in our personal life and our professional lives, run them through the test. Like, what, on a scale from 1 to 10, what is my trust factor, my respect factor, my mindfulness factor, my diversity factor, or their diversity openness, and their communication skills with me? And if you've got a whole bunch of 1s, 2s, and 3s, you need to go find some other people. Now, they may have the capacity to raise their level, to move from a 3 to a 4, but where you're going and what you want to create, you need to have a few 5s, 9s, 8, 7, 6s, the upper levels in your life, because those are the people that are going to inspire and draw you and move you forward. And I say this is when we talk about people, and in this, you're the sum total of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, or however you want to paraphrase it. I include TV, radio, books, podcasts, social media. Like, how well do I trust these people, and how close to the inner circle of relationship are they have? Or are they really acquaintances? So figure out what your 5 people are. And then figure out where they sit on the score sheet. And then maybe sit down and say, you know what? I need to sort of move this one out of the center because their performance, we don't have open communication. You know what? I don't trust them to show up and be the type of person that I need them to be in situations. Not because they failed me in the past, but it's not part of what their DNA, their makeup is. They may want to. Remember, ready, willing, and able? They may be willing, but are they able? They may be willing, but are they ready? So and score these people and understand what your relationships are built on. All right? So those were my sort of 5 beginning pillars of what good relationships are and things like that. Now, tomorrow, we're going to kind of keep on this relationship. I think people really like, I don't know, tell me, thumbs up, comment, whatever, when we do 2 or 3 days on the same topic, when we sort of make a week about it. Last week, we kind of talked a lot about money and vision and mindset. And this week, I think we're going to focus a lot on relationships. Tomorrow, I sort of wrote down, because I work with so many teams, I think I've got, let's see, it looks like 9, 10, 11, 12 different key elements in building great teams. And then the podcast, or the video on YouTube, is going to be really about successful social media. And then building love relationships on the podcast. So we have a week of relationships. Don't forget, we're always in relationships. We're always in leadership. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, as we all say, and John Maxwell has taught us to say. You're influencing people. The quality of the relationships that you have equals the quality of influence you have and the influence they have over you. So be mindful of your relationships today. Don't just walk through and trip through and just sort of let them get close to you and stick to you like bad odor. Be like, oh, wait a minute, this relationship isn't serving me. Or and it's okay. Here's your permission slip. Pull it out, get it out. Eric gave me my permission slip. There may have been relationships in your past that served you for that season. But now you are growing and changing, and your awareness is shifting, and you're becoming something different, someone different. You have different places to go, different things to do. And those relationships may no longer serve you at the level that they served you in the past. You are not obligated to hold on to them. My friends from kindergarten, man, they were valuable. They were tied. We were like homies on the table with our crayons and our color paper. They didn't follow me through my life. They were there for the season that I needed them to be. And they reemerge in the seasons that I need them to be in. But I filter my relationships. I value relationships. I value people. And I won't falsely fall into a relationship with somebody that's weak in one of the 5 areas. That's shown themselves through a little bit of testing, through a little bit of investigation, through a little bit of observation that, you know what? I got all these 7s and 8s. And I know you're coming in as a 3 and a 4. But I got to be with these 7s and 8s because where I'm going and what I do and what I want to expect in my life requires it of me. That's not discounting you. That's not being disrespectful to you. That's just saying, look, man, I'm gonna connect with you. I'm gonna honor you. I'm gonna be friends with you. But these are my 5. This is my tribe. This is where I'm investing myself in growing these relationships. If you had a stock that was performing year over year over year at high growth, and you were like, put $1 down, get $10 back. Put $1 down, get $10 back. Put $1 down, get $10 back. And it was guaranteed and predictable. One of those guaranteed annuity kind of funds. And then you had this stock over here that sometimes it gave you $1, sometimes it gave you 10 cents, sometimes it was a 30-cent gain, sometimes it was a 40-cent loss. And it was really like all up and down, sketchy. And you had $1 million. Your last million, your only million. Where would you put it? Where would you invest it? Here or here? You've only got so much time, so much energy, so much of you to invest each day in developing and growing relationships with clients, with coworkers, with team members, with family and friends. Where are you going to invest it? Those people who have shown in the past a guaranteed reserve, those people who meet the 5 criteria, those people who are going to move you to the next place, to the next level, to the next success that you can be, or into those relationships that aren't even investing in themselves, aren't even growing themselves, aren't even doubling down on their value. That's what I'm saying. Invest in the relationships. that will bring you what you need to bring to build a legacy, to have the prosperity, to create the story that you want to create. All right? Your permission slip is given. So if there's somebody you've been like hanging on to, friend, family, coworker, I know Melanie Massey, I think she's still in the house. She will agree. It is easy to hire. It is hard to fire. But the bigger of the two decisions is who to get rid of, not who to bring on. I tell you, I've watched more companies, more teams, more relationships fall apart because somebody said, I know they're not the right person. I know they're not helping us grow. I know they're not helping us go to the next level. I know their vision, mission, purpose, passion isn't aligned with me, the team, the company. But I feel like I got to hang on to them and give them another try. I got to keep investing in them. I got to keep pouring into them. And I'll say, great, I honor that. How long has it been like this? Are they really? I get it. And that's where I keep saying someday I'll write the storybook of ready, willing, and able. They may be willing to be a great employee, but are they ready? Have they done the work? Have they spent the time and season and growing and developing and learning and doing whatever needs? Or are they really able to? Or are they capable of it? Just because you're ready to get a job doesn't mean you're willing to get a job, ready and able, or vice versa. You got to have all. Got to have it with all your relationships. I'd love to be your friend. But when I look at your history, when I look at your past, you've kind of not really invested much in friendships beyond 30 seconds. And I don't have time for 30-second relationships in my business, in my life, and in my dream. So, don't be afraid to look around and say, you know what? I'm going to release you from this obligation. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to free you from being tied to me, because clearly the tension between us is negative, not positive. And I'm going to be the bigger, braver person and say, let go. And that's kind of what we'll talk about tomorrow on the team building thing. But for today, I want you guys to go out and live life with success. You are awesome and worthy of it. Value the relationships that you have. Invest in the relationships you have. Check in on those relationships and ask yourself, where do they score on these 5 principles, fundamentals? And then start growing yourself, growing your business, growing your prosperity. And if you don't forget, all of last week's videos are in the feed below and the blog over on ericgreid.com if you missed our little money mindset, reset, vision setting kind of thing. Got to get tuned with that. Fun Friend Friday. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to release who it is probably, I don't know. Somebody's going to have to send me a message like, release it at this time, and then you'll all find out together. I am really excited. I'm actually kind of nervous. So I'm just going to keep you on pins and needles for a little bit. But you guys have an awesome Monday. I want to thank you so much for joining me for Success Life Live here every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Again, my name is Eric Reid. I'm a coach. I would love to sit down to talk to you about developing coaching into your life and into your business and into your success. Until we get together tomorrow, go out, live life with success. You are so worthy and so blessed. Bye-bye.